Britain has voted to leave the European Union, forcing the resignation of Prime Minister David Cameron and dealing the biggest blow to the European project of greater unity since World War II. Global financial markets plunged as results from Thursday's referendum showed a near 52-48% split for leaving. The pound fell for more than 10% against the dollar to levels last seen in 1985. It's the biggest one-day fall in history, on fears the decision could hit investment in the world's fifth largest economy, threaten London's role as a global financial capital, and usher in months of political uncertainty. Vee Sison has more.
A shocked nation wakes up to a new reality with the United Kingdom voting to leave the European Union. The Leave campaign won with a 52% result compared with a 48% Remain campaign. The people of the United Kingdom has decided to break away in this historic vote with a high turnaround, 72% since 1992. A notable difference between the kingdoms, Scotland and Northern Ireland have overwhelmingly voted to stay in the European Union. The London Stock Exchange has been the first casualty, with the pound free falling to its lowest market rate since 1985, with the European markets also feeling the shockwaves. Mark Carney of the Bank of England has announced that he has funds to stabilise the markets, trying to calm a free-falling market.
But we are well prepared for this. Her Majesty's Treasury and the Bank of England have engaged in extensive contingency planning, and the Chancellor and I have remained in close contact, including through the night and this morning. To be clear, the Bank of England will not hesitate to take additional measures as required, as markets adjust, and as the UK economy moves forward. As a backstop, and to support the functioning of markets, the Bank of England stands ready to provide more than £250 billion of additional funds through its normal market operations. The Bank of England is also able to provide substantial liquidity in foreign currency if required. In the coming weeks, the bank will assess economic conditions, and we will consider any additional policy responses.
When the polls closed last night, YouGov polls published a Remain slight victory, which put confidence back in the stock market to soar the pound to its highest rate for a long time. However, as voting came in, it was evident by the early morning the analysis underestimated the resentment felt around the country that the Leave campaign targeted and pulled their vote.
The sun has risen on an independent, united kingdom. And just look at it, even the weather's improved. It's a victory for ordinary people, decent people. It's a victory against the big merchant banks, against the big businesses, and against big politics. And I'm proud of everybody that had the courage, in the face of all the threats, everything they were told, they had the guts to stand up and do the right thing. The EU's failing, the EU's dying. I hope we've knocked the first brick out of the wall. I hope this is the first step towards a Europe of sovereign nation states, trading together, neighbours together, friends together, but without flags, anthems, or useless old unelected presidents. And the other thing I think that needs to happen is that June the 23rd needs to become a national bank holiday, and we will call it Independence Day.
David Cameron, in an emotional speech, has stated he is stepping down in October to allow the new Prime Minister to steer the ship of the United Kingdom out of the European Union. It will take 2 years when the new Prime Minister will exercise Article 50 to the European Union, which no other EU country has done before.
But the British people have made a very clear decision to take a different path. And as such, I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction. I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination. This is not a decision I've taken lightly, but I do believe it's in the national interest to have a period of stability and then the new leadership required. But in my view, we should aim to have a new Prime Minister in place by the start of the Conservative Party conference in October.
This is the biggest political decision that has taken place, and the United Kingdom has voted to leave the European Union after a 40-year relationship within the EU. Prime Minister David Cameron has also announced that he will stabilise the transition, but in October, a new Prime Minister will need to be elected. A truly shocking morning for some, and an Independence Day for others. Reporting here at the Houses of Parliament, I'm Vee Sison for Eagle News.